Thank you, and for the record, it's 1:36 p.m. So are there any changes to the agenda? If not, no. If not, what's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you. I have a motion. Can I have a
Second.
I have a motion, and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So we have an approved agenda. Item 2 is requesting approval of the June 7th, 2022 primary election report of the canvass pursuant to NMSA 1978, Section 1-13-13A. And I'll turn it over to our clerk, Catherine Clark.
Hello, good afternoon. So before you are the reports that we have for the canvassing report. The first one, which is, it has a box on it and it says unofficial results. That is the overall result after qualifying some of the provisionals we received on Election Day. So that is the official tally that we're going to be sending over to the Secretary of State with all of our tabulator tapes and everything from canvassing. This election summary report, that is what we uploaded on election night. So that's the unofficial results that we got directly from the tabulators that do not include the provisional ballots. And some of the, so we had, I think, about 30 absentees that came in after we had closed the absentee board, so we hand tallied some absentees as well. 30 of those. We got 68 provisionals because SDR connectivity issues. And then this one on with the colors is the breakdown of how many were hand tallies that we got after the fact and how many were machine tabulated.
Excellent. Do you have any highlights you want, the other highlights to point out? Or
Well, there was a lot of sort of discussion of SDR, and we like SDR. We had some connectivity issues, so we're going to, in the general, of course, try to smooth out some of that. Yes.
Please tell people what SDR is.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm in election mode. Same-day voter registration. So one of the things we like about same-day voter registration is it makes for a more accurate voter file. So when voters come in, they can update their information and vote at their current information. It makes for less provisional ballots, although we did have some because we had some connectivity issues. Unfortunately, some of the cell phone towers kept going down, up and down, and I think that had something to do with HEMA's co-op's power going out. I know Rio Arriba had a similar problem, so we were seeing some connectivity issues. It didn't matter for our ballot on demand system. It's less sensitive to, it has a cache, so it's less sensitive to having a steady connection. So we're going to have to work for the general to have much better connectivity issues. So that's one of the reasons we had more provisionals than we like to see. Our goal is to have 0 provisionals so that all ballots go into the tabulators that should, and we don't have to, have adjudication after the fact.
that sounds good. I hope you're successful in that.
We're trying.
Yeah. for sure.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Hanson.
what do you need to make that happen?
Well, we need sort of pressure from our commissions all over the state to put pressure for broadband. I know broadband, we talk about it, but we really need to be putting pressure on sort of the even more pressure on the momentum to make sure broadband happens. The other thing is even though cell phone towers are regulated by the FCC, our federal delegation needs to hear that it is impacting our election. The other potential possibility is that we would use the 5G network for first responders, so that on election day, when we're trying to do same-day voter registration, we could be using Fire Emergency Responses Network, which has a much more robust network than just the standard network, that we could use because we are critical infrastructure and we do need that high-quality connection.
So with all the money that is supposedly coming down from Washington and that is available, I would think that we need to work with ReadyNet and with the last mile providers to build up this infrastructure.
So yes, and one of the things that Juan, my chief deputy, has done is contacted Do It, and we are giving them a GIS map of our polling locations based on your resolution of polling locations for Election Day, to try to get them to maybe prioritize some of those locations that really don't have high-quality connectivity around the county, as sort of like, elections should be prioritized when we're deciding where to lay broadband network.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think that it is going to take pressure from not only the commission here, but it's going to take pressure from our state representatives to funnel money into that tunnel, so to speak, or into that stream.
Yes, because when I asked the Ben Ray's staff about it, they said that the federal government was, even though that we are technically under the umbrella of Homeland Security because we are critical infrastructure, that they only felt that HAVA funds would be eligible to give to election-specific, and that there isn't, that only the funds from, there's only $700,000 available from Department of Homeland Security for the whole state of New Mexico for election-specific security threats, not even internet infrastructure. So we, as everyone at all levels of government, has to prioritize election infrastructure and put pressure there.
And Madam Chair, by prioritizing election infrastructure, we're also prioritizing the infrastructure that serves many of our constituents. And so since we're a big county and we have many diverse locations for polling places, I think it's really important. And I'm disheartened that this is still such an issue after 5.5 years of constantly beating the drum on broadband. And so it makes me frustrated that ReadyNet is not quite doing maybe what we need in Santa Fe County. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just on the first note, the Secretary of State, as well as Madam Clerk and your entire staff, thank you for what you have done, because it's actually, people don't realize what it takes to run the election. But once again, thank you all for what you do. And in regards to the federal dollars, as the commissioner mentioned, yeah, the federal dollars are going to come in, whatever, whenever, whatever, however. But we're actually crafting our budget right now. You, as the Madam Clerk, you need to let us know what you need from us to help you budget your elections and your staff. Because in the past, we used to have the Sheriff's Department used to drive you guys around, used to pick up the ballot boxes, and so on and so forth. But you need to ask us what you want from us, because we're crafting the budget right now, and you need to talk to Mr. Manager over there, Mr. Greg Schaefer, and tell us, because we can sit here and talk about federal dollars all day long. The federal dollars are going to come in when, how, and what. What's the plan? And broadband is great. We all want broadband. Yeah, you can go up and down I-25. There's fiber up and down I-25 up and but once you get off of a private road, you can't put fiber down that road because it's a private road, and you can't put, whether it's in Chimayo or whether it's in Edgewood or Cerrillos, you can put fiber all up and down all day long, up and down I-25 or State Road 14. But how do you get to the rural areas? That's the hard part, because everybody wants a broadband. Yeah, I get it, I understand it, but we're crafting the budget. You need to ask the commission here, us, what do you want and what do you need? So but thank you for you and your staff, as well as the Secretary of State, because it was good, and I just want everybody out there that ran for office. It's actually, to run for office is very challenging and it's a hard time these days to actually be an elected official. And but I just would like to thank everybody out there that ran for office, because it's challenging, and it's it's okay, and but for your budget, like the commissioner said there on the right here, ask her what you want, because we're not going to sit here and wait for federal dollars, because it's a federal plan. What's the plan? I don't know. Nobody knows. It's a plan. What's the plan? But please ask us what you need for your budget, as well as Manager Schaefer.
Okay.
As we're crafting a budget right now, please ask.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And just for the record, Commissioner Roybal is on WebEx. Commissioner Roybal, you present?
Yes, I am, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Excellent. So really, I think, do any commissioners have questions about the summaries they see? I've looked through. I don't have any questions from what. Yeah, I don't have any questions from what I see. Commissioner Hughes.
Not a question about the results, but I was wondering if Madam Clerk could just review for the record some of the procedures used to make this a secure and accurate election.
Okay, so when we start an election cycle, we have to certify the machines. And we use the certification process dictated by the Secretary of State. And currently you'll be hearing about a controversy that they say the machines are not certified because they say the EAC has chosen a 2.0 certification level. However, there is not a single lab in the United States that certifies to a 2.0. So our VSCC, which is the bipartisan committee that approves all voting machines, has only approved Dominion, and they've only approved the 1.1 because 2.0 is not available. And so we certify to the highest level that we can, and then in the next year we will be certifying to 2.0. So when we certify to 2.0, 1.1 as it is now currently, we get a test deck of ballots for the programming of the machines that have come in. And we run each of the test decks on each of the machines to show that the machines are tabulating correctly. And so we prove that the machines are tabulated. We run, after we've certified the machines and the Secretary of State has looked them over, then we deploy them to early voting and to Election Day. And we prove that there's no ballots in the machine and there's no results on the machine. They're zeroed out, and that's why we have a zero tape. Then at the end of election night, the presiding judges and election judges that come from different parties sign off on the tabulated results, and we double check to make sure we have permits that, voters get a permit when they vote. We have permits that match the tapes, and then the Secretary of State gets all of that information that we have certified, and they go through a certification process as well. Then at the end of an election, if there's a recount, we have to prove that the machines tabulated correctly. So what we do is we pull one precinct from all over the county. We select 100 ballots at random that were tabulated during the election, and we hand tally them. And then we prove the hand tally and the machine tabulation matches so that we are getting the expected results. So there's 3 checkpoints at which we are proving the machines are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Thank you.
Madam
That's
Chair.
all for me.
That's excellent, and I really appreciate that you asked that question because I was going to ask something like that. Commissioner Garcia, did you have a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Clerk, in regards to the new machines where they dropped off ballots, I was very impressed with your staff as into how they did it. There was always 2 of them, how they took off the tag, put a new tag on there and got the ballots. Did we have any issues with that?
No, so we introduced a chain of custody system last election. We piloted it. So essentially we have a program where we record the seals. So whenever we're picking up ballots from the drop boxes or picking up absentee ballots from the polling sites or transporting already tabulated ballots, we no longer leave them in the machines overnight. We used to do that in Santa Fe County. We no longer do that because it's a security risk. So we have the presiding judge sign a chain of custody, and then our staff takes that chain of custody and signs it as well. The number of ballots they're picking up with seal numbers, they're GPS tracked directly to the warehouse, and then they're stored in a sealed container where the seals are also recorded.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Clerk, in regards to the warehouse, as the Commissioner mentioned earlier.
We would really like to have a new warehouse. We have outgrown our space currently.
No, I can't understand, but I certainly understand what you're talking about. But as I said, we're Manager Schaefer here. You need as we're crafting the budget, you need to talk to us, let us know. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So Commissioner Hanson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I do believe that we are working on that for you to provide a new warehouse, and we are working on creating that, so I think that is in the works and is in the budget. So that is being taken care of.
Yes.
Now, in the next year's budget.
So, yeah, that's the fact. And I'd like to focus on the task at hand is reviewing these results and then certifying them. So I'd now like to really focus in on whether there are any questions from commissioners on the results that have been presented to us.
Madam Chair, I have one additional question.
Commissioner Roybal.
Yeah, and I know that this, we may have already talked about this, but I know one other concern that came up, and I think it would be good for Madam Clerk to kind of give us or at least for the edification of the public as well, that there was some concerns with Dominion machines, and I think that I had a conversation with our clerk, Clark, and she had indicated that those are the only that are supplied in the state of New Mexico. I think it's probably something that we should put on public record, because I know that was one other concern that came.
I think what he's asking is, do we have the option of using anything but the Dominion machines? And the answer to that is no. When we do, so as a commission, we have to designate voting convenience centers because we have consolidated precincts. So when we do our resolution, we have precincts that are divided up, and then we put a voting convenience center to evenly spaced so that we have equal proportion of population that has access to a voting convenience center. In the law, when we designate a voting convenience center, there must be a machine tabulation mechanism for the ballots that are cast at that site. The VSCC, which is appointed by the legislature, it's bipartisan, it's like the voting systems committee, essentially, that the Secretary of State oversees, but the legislature appoints. It is their duty to decide what machines we will use on election day. So they approve all of our software, they approve all of our election-related machines. So far, only one machine is approved by that committee, and that is the Dominion machines that we're using currently. So we have no option but to use those machines.
But I suspect there is also a lot of reason to have confidence in them.
They are thoroughly tested, yes.
Exactly. Exactly my point. So thank you, Commissioner Roybal. Are there any questions on the actual tabulated results that we're about to vote on?
Madam Chair, if there's no question, I move for approval.
Thank you. I have a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. And I want to join my colleagues in thanking you, Madam Clerk, for an excellent job in bringing us to have another safe and successful election.
Thank you for the vote of confidence. Thank you.
So that brings us to concluding business. Are there any announcements? Madam Clerk, and I'm sorry, I'll come to you after.
I just wanted to remind folks our office will be closed this afternoon, so thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you. Commissioner Garcia.
Madam Chair, I just would like to just have a little bit of a moment of silence for my grandma. Actually, we buried my grandma yesterday, but if we can just have a little moment of silence.
We'll definitely do that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and our condolences. Are there any other announcements? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody, for doing this. A very important part of our system.